All week long, the last week of his life, they've been trying to trap him. All week long, they've been building tensions. Started with the triumphal entry. He cleansed the temple. And then as the week went long, more and more, there were these confrontations between him and the scribes and the Pharisees until finally we get to this point. And at this point, Jesus, in a very uncharacteristic way, unleashes upon them his anger and his harshness in words. As William Barclay said, if you hear someone who's always irritable and always angry and they're always saying harsh, angry things, you just kind of dismiss them. That's the way they are. But when you come upon someone who is usually characteristically kind and gentle and thoughtful, and then all of a sudden you hear from them harsh, angry, attacking words, it sort of gets your attention. These are the words that Jesus delivers to the scribes and the Pharisees. These 7 woes can be easily divided into 3 pairs and a final indictment. The first pair, you will notice, has a sense of irony in it. We're not going to read them. I just want to review them real quickly. Pair 1's ironic. He says, woe unto them because they're blocking the doors of heaven. God called his people to be a way for the people of the world to come to him. The covenant was about opening up a pathway for all of God's creation to come to him. But the leading adherents of Judaism instead blocked the way to heaven. They made it harder. Woe too was a shame on them for their missionary passion. They would go anywhere and everywhere to win a convert, and they were good at it. But instead of converting people to the graciousness and love of God, he said they just created more like themselves, sons of hell. First of all was the irony of them totally missing the mission of God. The second pair, the second 2, are about blindness, making the lesser as the greater. He talks about giving an oath in the temple, and that you could give an oath based upon the gold that was in the temple, but you couldn't give an oath based upon the temple itself, as if the gold in the temple was more valuable than the temple that made the gold sacred. It was a misunderstanding. They were blind to this truth. The second of those 2 woes, woe number 4, they're majoring on the minor. Their emphasis again is that it is the altar meat, what is placed upon the altar. That's what is sacred, not the altar itself. The only thing that made the meat on the altar sacred was the altar before God. After all, the altar was just a barbecue pit. How many of you cooked out last night? Did you cook out last night? I did. Did you think about the fact that you were doing what was been done for a long time, cooking meat on a fire? It's what they did on the altar. It was a huge barbecue pit. The difference was not the meat that was on the barbecue pit, but the pit itself, why it was built, why it was there in the temple. They were blind to that. They majored on the minor. They strained at gnats while swallowing a camel. They saw the lesser thing as the greater thing, and the greater thing they failed to see and assigned it a lesser value. They were blind.